Welcome to Women Forward, a podcast that we will talk about and also cover the aspect of the intention. Women that start off easy or probably simple, or at the same time they do have a story behind. And I hope that this story will bring forward and inspire all of you out there to have the courage, or women who actually wants to be inspired to take one step forward, but you do not know how. So this is the podcast for you. Welcome, June.
Thank you so much for having me, Alice.
How do you feel like on the other side?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because let me just introduce what I do. I am a sports journalist and host, so I'm used to doing the interviewing, not being interviewed, but nevertheless, I'm very honored to be your first guest in this series. Yeah, and like you said, the whole aim is to inspire women. I will try my best, although sometimes I suffer from severe imposter syndrome and wonder if I actually am inspiring enough, but we will get to that in a little bit, right?
I mean, definitely will. It took me a while to actually step out from the comfort zone as well to start a podcast. I don't know if I have, the kind of story that I can bring to the table and share with other people as well. But I thought about, if you don't start today, with them when?
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you for accepting my invitation to
My
come
pleasure.
over. And then I've been checking your Instagram, that we've been in the media industry.
Yeah.
Though I've not crossed paths with you, but there's a lot that I saw that you changed and you have moved. So we'll touch base a little bit about that. Why not we start off by talk a little bit about your story, how you started, a little bit of your background to our audience.
I think my start came with joining a pageant about, let's say 11 years ago in 2012. Yes, that's 11 years ago. I saw it as a stepping stone because I always knew I wanted to do TV, which is what I'm doing now. Because that's always been my forte since I was in primary school and secondary school. I would go for storytelling competition or syarahan, and I was always very good at it. So I thought this could be a potential career path. Although what I really wanted to do was pursue music, but Asian parents are like, so are you sure you want to pursue music? What are you gonna do after you graduate? And it was just two options, and I'm quite glad that I followed the media, the communications path, because it's brought about a career that I'm very happy with, and something that I'm still growing, because in this career, at least in broadcasting, I don't think there's a lot of certainty. I think anyone who's ever been in the broadcasting industry, they can relate. It's so dependent on, let's say you get sponsors for a show, or a lot of us are on contracts, so we're not actually permanent staff, and it's just less secure than, let's say, if you were a permanent staff and it comes with benefits, and it's really dependent on your contract getting renewed year by year. So you really have to perform. It doesn't matter if it's the host, it's also the producers. Anyone who's working with production would know that yes, there is no guarantees of you having a job the following year. And we saw during COVID that a lot of people were let go. It's simply because in my case, I was doing sports, and those 2 years there was no sports because of COVID. So a lot of people were affected, and that was the period where I took a leap and I moved to Germany to be with my husband. Yeah. So I like to say, I knew I was going to be guaranteed a career to take the leap and move countries, to let go of the career I've built. But the truth is, I think I just chose love, and I just went in kind of a little bit blindly and hoped that my skills were enough for me to carry on. But it was not easy, and I think you have experience in that aspect as well.
Yeah. I mean, well, true, but I think we'll share. If I start talking, you will know when.
No, but we want to hear your story as well.
I mean, I think I mentioned just now, I started off with PR background, and then after that, I discovered a technology platform that I could see the future. The fact that PR trained people, they always have to think 10 steps ahead of time. That was when I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Because it's quite scary. It's not quite, it's very scary. To change something that you don't know at the age of 35, it's scary. Because I was brought up in an environment where you know, like your job is to study, you know, get a job, get married, you know, have kids, buy a house, you know, a car. So to break that barrier took me a while to convince myself by utilizing my own PR skills to see how I can navigate this into a business. So now it's like coming to 6 years. We just expanded ourselves from 2-person company. Now we have coming to 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very difficult. I think the imposter syndrome, it's happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Because you always have to question yourself, especially I'm an overthinker profile, right?
Same.
Yeah, then you're like, what if, what happened, and why, when? There was too many questions. So coming to this, I do have a question for you out of curiosity, because I know you moved. Like when you moved and decided to choose love, which is really a big decision and it's a big sacrifice, I would call it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you break that mental for yourself?
Yeah.
That this is something I want to try. What convinced you?
I think when you talk about how scary it is to set up your own thing in an industry that you weren't familiar with, you know, having the PR background and now doing tech, I think courage has got to do with not the absence of fear, but knowing that fear exists in you and still do things in spite of. I think that's been a huge element in my entire career, but even my entire life, because I was always quite afraid of taking the leap, and building what I've built in Malaysia wasn't easy. At the time when I left, I was working with Astro Arena, and even making the switch from Astro Supersport, which is in the same industry, right? It's sports journalism, but then from English to Malay, I've always doubted how good my Malay is to be able to host in it. Yes, just like everyone in Malaysia, I studied Malay until we were 17 years old, but to feel like, oh, I have this barrier, which is quite crucial, the language barrier, whether or not I can do it, but I needed to take every opportunity that came towards me. And when it came to my relationship and taking the leap, I knew that if I was not going to make the leap now, because remember during COVID, there was a travel ban. Remember that one? Remember that time, guys, where we couldn't leave the country? And that was what was happening to me, because my husband was in Germany and I was stuck in Malaysia. I could not see him for, at that point, it was 9 months. So I know that if I don't do something about it now, that could mean, at the time we weren't married yet, but we were engaged. That would probably mean the end of the relationship. So I had to weigh things out and say, so these are the pros and cons. Am I willing to give up my love for him to just stay here? So I wasn't. So that's why I make the move, knowing that I do not know what the future holds. There is a possibility that I would never have a career in broadcasting anymore, because in Germany it's very German centric, right? In much of Europe it's more like mother tongue would be what people would work in, and I'm English speaking, so yeah, I needed to take a leap of faith. And I was quite lucky too, because I found an agent that approached me. He saw me on LinkedIn. And that's the thing about it too. Luck does play an element in all of this, and I can't negate that fact. I remember earlier on, when I was a lot younger, I would get a little bit pissed off, I would say, when people say, oh, you were so lucky that you get these opportunities. And at the time, I felt like I couldn't accept luck being an element because I did work so hard. But looking back now, I do understand that I was lucky enough to have opportunities come my way, and I was courageous enough to take them, even though I truthfully never felt ready. So I'm the type of person that, it sounds dramatic, but like jump off a plane and build the parachute on the way. So it's like, if you don't know how to do it, you have to agree to it first and learn on the job. Because the opportunities will not come. If you have to wait till you feel ready, then it's almost like you are static. You can't really take the leap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I agree with you. Like, I want you to also share that one, because most of the time, if you don't know that thing or that opportunity, if it is going to go well, because everybody wants everything to go well, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to go through pain? It's not easy. And this is where I think a lot of people will just, that's how you differentiate between, the two category of people, that there are some who just choose, to stay at the comfort zone, and there are people who will be like, damn, I just want to give it a try and see how it goes from there. But I want to ask you that question, like opportunities.
Yeah.
How do you weigh that part? Like, how do you know that opportunity is for you?
Oh.
Did you have a measurement or analytical thinking about how do you do your pros and cons? Or it's just based on my heart?
This really, the answer to this question is very dependent on people. But the way I navigated my life is I have never passed up any opportunity in my life. Whether or not they have worked out, that's a different story, right? But I have said yes to every single opportunity just to see where it will bring me, because I know that they don't always come around. So if I look back in my career, which is starting with 8TV Quickie and then moving to Astro Supersport and then Astro Arena, and currently I work with Spoke TV as a MotoGP host. These are almost natural progression, because the opportunity came due to the fact that I said yes to the previous job or the previous opportunity. So someone saw me and they approached me, and then someone saw me, they approached me. They think I'm right for the job, so then I got the next one and the next one. So it wasn't almost like I was chasing exactly what came to me. It was I just knew to hone my skills, to be good at what I do. So when the opportunity presents itself, I will learn on the job. But I never felt comfortable on the job, because to get into the nitty-gritty part about what I do, I've hosted many different sports leagues before. I started with football, I've done table tennis, I have done badminton, and now I'm doing MotoGP. These are, yes, it's sports, but completely unrelated, and the rules are different. So when the opportunity came, it's almost like, that's why the imposter syndrome feels so strongly. When I go to these arenas or cover these sports, I have to do the necessary homework, and I will not feel comfortable because I look around me, I see people living and breathing that sport their entire lives, not just the athletes. Everyone who is in that scene, they love it, they've probably played it, they talk about it, and that is their life. And for me, I'm coming as a journalist, so I'm talking about it, needing to be almost an expert, but never having an experience in living that life. So the imposter syndrome was very strong, but it's only because I gave myself that kind of pressure to have that level of expertise in any sport that I talk about. So that's why it comes. But I think maybe that's also the key to success, is to know you have this imposter syndrome, to be okay with that, to be okay with discomfort, and to do the necessary homework. And yeah, you'll be okay, because no one has ever asked me, so have you ride a motorbike? And I'm talking about MotoGP. Do you know anything about bikes? Honestly, no, but I know everything about the riders. Isn't that what's important? Right? Yeah, it is cool. It's very exciting, but at the same time, the first 3 races, I felt like, oh my god, what am I doing here? Yeah.
But I'm very proud of you. Like, I saw, you moved, and then the next big announcement that you did was, hey, I'm in MotoGP, because I love to watch as well. I used to chase around with all this, like be the diehard fan and all.
Right.
And when I saw you did it, I was like, wow, this woman is amazing. Like,
oh, thank you.
It's like moving country is already difficult. There is a block that you need to overcome. That's why I'm still in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Because you need to basically put down everything that you have, including your parents and everyone,
yes.
and move there, and hope for the best. And then you land yourself with a career where a lot of people dream of, and that's something amazing that I look into. I was like, wow, she has a superpower there.
Oh, thank you for saying that, but it doesn't feel like a superpower, because if I'm honest, it's not all roses and flowers and everything was easy. I dealt with a lot of challenges, and that's the thing about social media too. It is a highlight reel. You don't see the challenges. You don't see the times where I sit on my couch wondering, what am I doing with my life? And I wasn't working for the first 9 months that I was there, because I couldn't find something. I was trying, but everything was in German. the requirements, like German language is the basic requirements. Let's not talk about skills, but about the ability to host any event or even have a career on TV. And I was very blessed to be approached by someone from Spo TV whom used to work with me in a table tennis league that I was hosting. So they remembered that I used to work with them, and now I'm based in Europe, and the stars kind of aligned because there was a lot of races in the MotoGP calendar that was going to be in Europe. And like I said, luck played an element. I just so happened to be at the right place at the right time, and that's why I got my in. So what I would urge people is, yes, sometimes the world is unfair, but when you see an opportunity, please take it. And if you decide that it's not right for you, you can leave anytime. Right?
That's a very good one. I think a lot of people always want perfection.
Yeah.
Like, if I go in this, what is it for me?
Yeah.
And it has to guarantee a success. That's why
but it's never guaranteed. Isn't
exactly
It? Yeah.
the kind of, I think, like you say, like when you see on social media on the screen, most of the time, those are the things that's filtered.
Yeah.
We all know that from the media industry,
Yeah.
that there's at least 70 to 80% thing that you don't see behind the scene. That
Yeah.
just to set up a host to do recording, there's tons of people behind the scene.
Exactly.
That even though mine is just one here, we just have Nadia. But like there's so many challenges that you have to break through. And I know that you didn't work for a while. Then you landed with a great job, the opportunity. The thing is that any decision that we make, in my belief is that whether left or right, it always comes with the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter you go left or right. They will always have its own challenges that's waiting for you based on your decision in life.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to overcome. And I think you really overcome a lot, because I was like looking, wow, you're interviewing this person and that person. The only thing I think I was laughing a lot was you were on baju kurung.
Yeah, it was hot. And I thought it would be nice to bring the Malaysian flair. I wore baju kurung and it was hot. It was like dripping, sweaty, wet. But I could showcase our Malaysian culture to the world, and I feel very proud to be covering the Malaysian GP. I still struggle a lot with the job scope because a huge element, and you do digitalization, right? And Spo TV kind of focus a lot on social media as well, because that's a way to reach new viewers. And I'm not an influencer, so I didn't come from that background. So I needed to learn the ropes as well to produce interesting reels and interesting content, not just your black and white journalism and interviews. And that was a huge learning curve that I felt very uncomfortable with. And again, I felt like I wasn't in that age group, because now there's TikTok and you have 20-year-olds or teenagers making it big, millions of views, and I just felt like, wow, that's so removed from me. I don't understand the lingo. I need to find out what's trending, but when I look at what's trending, I don't get it. Yeah, so it's a huge learning curve, but I can look back at the season I had and feel very proud. But at the same time, don't think that it's all easy, because it never is. It continues to be difficult, but you just have to find ways to overcome them, and there will be good days and bad days. And I've had equal amount of bad days as I have had good days. Just that those bad days were happening behind the scenes because of the nature of my job, and what you see in front of cam is really just the good parts. Yeah.
Speaking about bad days, now I want to drill a little bit about that, because it's always rise and shine. You always look good in front of camera.
Yeah.
I mean, you look great.
Thank you.
Whether it was with Astro, and now then people from media would know, like I mentioned, what happened behind the scenes. There's a lot of things. Sometimes to your last second, things happen, and all that. But I want to share a little bit with the audience here today is that maybe have one of the lowest moments in your life that you encountered before, that you overcome, that we can share with our audiences here.
I mean,
is there one particular one that it's like, for me, breaking my cancer was my biggest barrier. Oh, you didn't know?
No, I didn't know. Oh my god, congratulations. How did you do it? Let's talk about you first.
Oh, come on.
Please do
Table
share.
switch.
Yeah, my interviewer mind is switching up now.
Oh well, I'll share a little bit with you. That when I received the news, I was on the journey to have a family planning at that point of time. So Tim and I was like more into the mode of okay, like it's time for us to have a baby, and that was the time, with women we have high hopes.
Yeah.
Emotional comes in and all that,
Yeah.
but at the same time, they discovered the hospital discovered that there's a cyst that I need to remove, and I was like, okay, it did happen, but I consult quite a number of doctors, probably like 2 of them, and one of the gynae actually gave me a medicine to control in case I'm pregnant. Then that will control and you will end up dry up by itself.
Right.
So I took the medicines. 3 weeks later, I went back to the gynae, and the gynae told me that the size is from size 5 cm to 18 cm
Okay.
in 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I have to go emergency.
Right.
And so I went to hospital, one of the reputable one. I went in, I did my surgery or everything. So most of the time when you go for surgery, when you remove something, they have to send to the lab for tests.
Right.
And like newbie to the hospital, we didn't know. So the report came back. I was supposed to catch up with the doctor on Wednesday, and doctor kind of like called me ahead of time, and he was like, "Can you come in?" I was like, "I'm not available," and it sounded very urgent.
Yeah.
So I dragged him. When we went there, he had to calm me down. I know, okay, this is not good.
Ooh.
Then he was like, actually, report came back. This happened, and that was stage 1 cancer.
Oh.
Actually, I didn't cry
Okay.
because I was processing.
Yeah.
Tim was crying.
Yeah.
I was like, why is he crying? Until the doctor say, you have to remove both ovaries. That means I cannot have kid. That was
Right.
when I cried.
Right.
Then I was like,
right.
what do you mean? It's a stage 1, That woman in me was like, can't be.
Oh.
And I cried for a long time in the hospital. They have to move me to another room. Let me, sort it out and digest and process the whole entire thing. Then only they came back and say, you know what, I'll refer you to another doctor, specialist that takes care of this. So I spoke to the doctor, a professor actually, and he said, you have to remove both.
Yeah.
In my instinct,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I really don't think so.
Yeah.
Because it's stage 1 we're talking
Yeah.
about. Even I'm not a doctor. So I say, give me some time, because he was saying that you can do chemo next week. I was
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
So I take charge of my own life and my own body. I say, I'm going to look around. So I went to 3 doctors before the last one. The second and third one said the same thing. You basically have to cut it off. And the 4th one was a professor that was recommended by a few people at the same time. So the universe aligned, said, go and see this professor. So I went there. I waited almost 2 hours plus, because mine was a jump queue, emergency. I went in, and the professor was like, are you like, do you have a kid? I said, no, I don't. I have an intention to have one. Then he was like, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut one and the other one remain. That was where my tear came. I was like, are you serious? I said, everyone says to remove. I said, no, we can use the traditional way to do things. That was when I saw hope.
Yeah.
And then the rest basically are history, where I went through chemo, the treatment, and then there's a difference that I discovered having surgery done and treatment.
Right.
That was when depression and PTSD happened. Anxiety, everything just falls in place, because I'm a woman that is always a go-getter.
Yeah.
And from be able to be out there working, running around, networking, to being pulled back
Yeah.
to the back seat and don't move, don't talk, don't do anything. It was tough. It was really tough. That the mental torture was real, and it took me a while. Then I accepted that I was sick, and that was when life got easier with things. Easier in the sense that I don't go against the tide.
Yeah.
because I was always against the tide. Like, how is this happening to me? Why is my life? Why is it me? Being orphan was difficult, and there was so many resentment behind.
Of course.
me. And I was so angry. And then I spoke to my meditation teacher. And he was like, "Why are you angry?" I was like, "I can never sleep again because I sleep too much after the treatment." Then my master asked me a question. "Who told you that you need to sleep at night?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, who told me that?"
Yeah, it's like conditioning, right? Things are supposed to be done in a certain way,
Exactly.
but it's not true.
It was such a simple question and caught me thinking like, then I said, "Yeah, master, who told us, yeah?" And then it was like, "Nobody, your body." Because we grown up that way, that thinking that, that's the way that we were disciplined to do, but you can always change. There's no one way or the highway. So I was like, just like, if you cannot sleep, listen to podcasts, just play behind the back and roll till you can sleep. You don't have to, or you just do something and just meditate or do breathing exercise. And that woke me up a lot. Like, mind is so powerful.
Yeah.
Our mind is miracle. And I start practicing what master advised. And I played podcasts after the treatment. And I was on the bed at 8 p.m. And I just kept telling myself, it's okay, one step at a time, one day at a time, till 4 a.m. It was a long journey, but it's better than taking Xanax.
Yeah.
I had a side effect from that. Like, I was so angry. Like, I almost wanted to jump down from the building.
That's not
That
good.
was like the opposite. And everybody's like, I took Xanax, I'm fine. I'm like, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't take it. I stopped it because it drive me crazy. And I used the alternative way by taking a step back, by being peace with myself and accept that the thing happened. And life, it is what it is, that I need to rest. Don't try to do anything. So for a year, I didn't really do much. Just accept life.
Thank you so much for sharing. First of all, I was very touched by your... No, but see, that is truly inspiring. Oh my goodness, because I don't have anything that can even compare to the challenges that you have overcame. I just know that, thank you for being so raw. And I mean, this is life because things get thrown at you.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I'm still trying. I don't know if I have the skills required to overcome everything that will be thrown my way, because I know objectively how blessed I've been, but sometimes I wallow in maybe self-pity. And when I wasn't working for the 9 months, for the first 3 months, I was very happy. I just got married. It's like the buzz of, something new, something exciting happening. But at the same time, once that wears off, I grieve the career that I've built. And at the same time, I needed to make new friends, but it was a long process because with COVID and restrictions, it was just hard to go out to meet people. Yeah. I felt a huge low, plus maybe it was seasonal depression. I'm not sure, but I am on vitamin D pills now, and it's gotten better. But I tend to wallow, and it's not very fair for my husband because it's nothing that he can do. And I made him my everything because I moved there. It's like, oh, this is for him, and he needs to step up to be more for me. But that's not fair because literally no one can be their all, somebody's all.
Yes.
And I put too much pressure on him, not having the support of my family, the support of friends that have known me for my entire lives. Yes, I have friends now, but they're relatively new. And it's like people that just understands me. I'm still lacking in that. I'm trying to build it, but it almost felt like, I want my husband to spend 24/7 with me. If I'm feeling low, I want him to lift me up. And that was just not very fair or conducive to our marriage. And I am still learning not to be like that because of the uncertainty of my work that I've mentioned before. There will be a time where I have a period of time I don't have anything to do. I have too much time to overthink. And I think I'm very inspired by what you said is the letting go part. Yeah. Sometimes that is life, and if you let go of the idea of what it needs to be, because I understand why you feel angry.
Yeah.
When you feel like something is, you can't control something,
Yes.
you're like, why? I
Yeah.
want to control every single thing. I want to control my body. I want to control the process. I want to control my emotions.
Yeah. And I thought that life was, like
Yeah.
this. I was going like the company was doing really well.
Yeah.
So I was so ready for next year kind
Yeah.
of moment. Like, I have all the plans in my head. This is it,
Yeah.
And bam,
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
That's like, am I going to die? And support system, it's so important.
Yeah.
We can talk about this one because I met a lot of people in kind ways. There are a lot of people in our life that, wants to give you advice. Some don't mean bad. There's no ill intention to it. But the advice itself sometimes can trigger anxiety because they're just trying to be nice. And in my case, your people were telling you that, oh my God, you have this, you don't do this, you don't do that, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Then a person like myself that have been, like doing so much, then like, then what's the purpose of life if you're not doing anything anymore?
Yeah.
And that was when I'm like, no. And I start reading books that there are books out there that actually have testimony that says that your mind is really powerful, that you can change. But first, change comes from acceptance.
Okay.
And accepting that it is what it is now. Okay, how do we navigate, how we pivot our life based on the current condition? Because we all have a goal to achieve, like be there.
Yeah.
But of course, without any obstacle, it's easy. It's like a highway.
Yeah.
But what if the highway is not working?
Yeah.
Then you have to use the back end road, the kampung road we call it,
Yes.
right? So some people are kampung road is not for me, it's so hassle, no light. So that was when I realized it changed my perspective of life. I changed a lot after I survived my own battle. How I see life, how I should take a step back and don't try to push hard and don't try to be a control freak.
Yeah.
There's also something that a lot of my surrounding do have as well. And it's not a bad thing because we want to control life. That's normal. But there are days that when you can't, what are you going to do about it? And I see that you actually have a lot of courage, like that I think you step up from the comfort zone on your own. Especially like you say, you build a career here. And from a career, you go to a place where it's unknown.
Yeah.
And you have to sort of restart it all over again.
Yeah.
And without knowing where that leads you to.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's hard and it's daunting because my husband is the type of person that is never content. He's ambitious, and I feel like ambitious and contentment sometimes they almost never coexist. But because of the way he is, it's almost like, oh, I have to restart again wherever he wants to move. Or let's say he wants to move to a different city, then I have to start from scratch, make new friends and things like that. I don't always feel like I have the tools required to do that again. Because when I moved to Germany, I think I was, there's a lot of hope there, right? And now it's like, okay, after being married for 2.5 years, everything is more settled. I see things more objectively. And sometimes I still wallow. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I have the courage to do that again. Yes, I did in the past, but I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Hey, you all. Thanks for following us and supporting us on our podcast. So stay tuned for the next episode. See you all.